Wake up, wake up. It is Monday, March the 24th, and we got a lot of Niners talk to get into. Is this the final week of Brandon Aiyuk's career? Who do we want at 11? Who do we not want at 11? Can I possibly do another mock draft?
It is March 24th, Monday. We got a NCAA tournament off and running with a very power conference stacked Sweet 16. Things are good. Baseball's around the corner. Like Larry said, we could have one more trade. And I'll take one more trade before I take another freaking mock draft, Larry. I think I've had it up to here with mock drafts. And there's a part in mock draft season where everything starts becoming an acid test. Well, what if this team traded back 13 times and then got blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just, here we are in the let's get really imaginative mock draft season. And so we will use our imaginations to try to give the 49ers the right path through this whole thing. There are players that we certainly have fallen in love with. I got to tell you, Larry, there's no players that I've totally fallen out of love with. There's no one that I've looked at and I'm just gone, ugh, and that's what this is. This is it's a testament to potential. You know, the guy that you don't believe in, and believe me, every single team in the NFL did not believe in Brock Purdy until the 49ers believed in him at the very last minute. And that guy could be worth $60 million one day. So you never know. You never, ever, ever know. But we got our hunches. We got our inclinations. We got our instincts. We got our guts. And I thought that that's where we'll start today because, like you said, Brandon Aiyuk could get traded. We'll get into all of that. But, Larry, here we go. Number 11 on the clock for the San Francisco 49ers, and I forbid you from making any sort of deal. You can't get out of the pick. You got to make a pick at 11. Who is the human being you recommend?
Well, it is so funny because, when I used to scout in the Canadian League, I worked for this guy, Bill Urbanek, and he had done personnel in the NFL for years. And so he knew the failure rate of the draft intimately, anecdotally and statistically. So he knew exactly by position, who was likely to make it, who was likely not to make it, not which individuals, but what percentage. And so, he kept saying, man, you love all these guys, Larry, you love them. He's like, let me tell you, man, he's like, you do this long enough, by the time draft day rolls around, you hate everybody. You hate everybody. And I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, what do you mean you hate everybody? That's like hanging out at the nursery saying that you hate all the babies. I go, this is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous take. And he's like, no, he's like, when you look at a prospect, you always got to ask yourself, why is that guy going to fail? Because most of them do, and,
right.
And so that was a lesson. And so we did a lesson about 10 days before, we were going to have to make any decisions on players, both in Canada and with the Cardinals, where we would go through and we would have all right, this guy's not going to make it. Why is he not going to make it? And it really kind of opened my eyes to be like, you know what, this is not making it is, these guys see the patterns. I'm not seeing the pattern because I'm a young guy, but these guys see the patterns, and so they start to not see the players as well as I am, because before you go bias. Before you, they also see it better because they also know kind of all the experience of seeing all the failure.
Hold on, before you go on, what was, and I know it changed, per individual evaluation, but what was the leading cause of red flags, shall we say? Was it school system? Was it coaching? Was it, I'm guessing this is like it's a nature versus nurture. Would it be physical traits that you ran away from, or personality traits that you would run away from? What were your biggest red flags?
Personality. And we group personality under everything. So anything that wasn't football, you could say was personality. But in reality, it was all the dysfunction that every person has. It's no different than a job interview in any job. You have somebody who's a great candidate, but they're lukewarm on even taking the job. And even though they took it, they're keeping their eyes on another job the entire time, and they're never fully invested, but they look great on paper. Then there's the person who doesn't look great on paper, but man, if you give them that job, they are going to get there early. They're going to stay late. This is their new mission, statement of life, is that it starts with the job that they're doing for you. And then there's everybody in between. There's the person that's, going to make excuses every single day. There's the person that's going to be late every single day. There's the person that has substance abuse issues, alcohol, drugs. There's people that have, accountability issues. There's dumb people, believe it or not. I know in this incredible PC world, nobody can be dumb. But guess what? If you have smart people, that means you can have dumb people. And that burns you. So there's all kinds of things. Sometimes they got it all. They work hard. They show up on time. They're incredible athletes. And Damon, they're just not that fired up. I'm just like, hey, I could never be as fired up as you, coach. So it's like,
right. You know what this is? You know what it really is? It's
radio. You saw it in radio. I saw it in radio. There's guys that were better than us, literally better than us. But guess what? They had problems with alcohol. They had problems with drugs. They had problems with showing up on time. They had accountability problems. It didn't mean that much to them. They had family money. Didn't care about
it. How much do you want it? You got it. How much do you want it? Like, this to me is like, I'm not trying to bag on Andrew Wiggins any more than I already have. I'm one of the most famous bag on Andrew Wiggins guys there is. But Andrew Wiggins has the physical potential to be the best player on the court in every game he's played since high school. He has never once wanted that. He has never once wanted to truly be the best player in the NBA, because he could have been.
Well, there's another factor though that unfortunately, NBA players deal with that these players don't deal with, which is the rich factor. The NFL player is properly motivated. Motivation can be it comes and it goes when you give somebody who's never had anything, they've never had a dollar to their name, and now they've got $150 million in the bank. They've paid off everybody they have, every friend they have, and they still have $150 million sitting in the bank. And you're having a hard time motivating them. I think that's Ben Simmons' problem, to be honest. He won't work on his free throws because you can't convince him that it's going to burn him, because he's got more money now than he's ever had or ever dreamt of having. And what are you going to take away? It's all guaranteed. You know what I mean? So
I think it's
some guys have no motivation.
Marvin Hagler, who famously said, it's hard to get up in the morning at 4 a.m. and do your road work when you're sleeping in 10,000 thread count sheets.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
it's part of the whole deal. And I would say that's why when I figure out the person, like if you'll see me anywhere in this process and you'll see me really commit to a prospect fully, it's because I've already been sold on the player, and now I'm sold on the person.
Right.
I'll never, ever be all in on a player,
but the truth is,
know the person. Yeah.
You don't really know anybody until you meet them. And I'm not bagging on you. It would be impossible for you to have met more than 2 or 3 guys who are about to be drafted. And that would have been circumstantial probably anyways. You know what I mean? We can't sit and do the interview process, which is part of the reason. And I totally agree with you, Larry. If you don't get to know who the guy is, it's hard to say that this player is better than that player when that is a better guy. But this is more, he's checking more measurable boxes. Give me the dog. Give me the guy who wants it. Give me the hard worker. Give me the guy who's going to get out of bed.
You can't just be the guy. It can't just be like, hey, man, this guy can't play dead, but he is a hell of a guy.
Right. There's not enough personality to put up for the fact you can't make a tackle. There's that too.
Greg Ellis. Remember the Cowboys passed on Randy Moss for Greg Ellis because they had the whole Michael Irvin house thing, and they decided to draw their line in the sand at Randy Moss. And I remember on draft day, Jerry Jones, because everything the Cowboys did back then, the Niners were all about. You definitely paid attention to the Cowboys. I'll never forget Jerry Jones, the presser after that draft, where he kept talking about how Greg Ellis was the kind of guy that you would allow to babysit your kids. And it's like, dude, he's a defensive end. How many defensive ends? If I need a babysitter, I'm going to call my daughter. If I'm not, then maybe I'll call my niece, or maybe I'll call one of my wife's friends' daughters or neighbors or whatever. I'm not calling the Niners finding out if Sam O can babysit. So it's just ridiculous.
And here's the thing. You know what? Who could have definitely been your babysitter? Talanoa Hufanga. But when the rubber had to meet the road, that didn't save him, did it?
Yeah. So at 11, Damon, just
that's where we were. That's right.
I mean, here's the thing. I love Talanoa. I love Talanoa. Man, I think so highly of him.
It would have been great if he could have stuck around.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing it sucks about these conversations is when you're real, like I'm real about these guys. It's like, man, I love that guy. And then I'm also going to really tell you why it was smart for the Niners to move on from him. You know what I mean? It's like
part of the job, man. That's why
part of the job.
Too close, right? And honestly, the reason why I've never put much of my career or value or stock into the mock draft industry is because you can't meet these guys. And I will never forget how wildly wrong I was about a draft pick. The most sure draft thing I have ever known in my life. Believed it in my soul like you believe in the deities that you pray to. I believed in something and could not have been more wrong. And the only reason why I'm not made fun of is because this happened when I was in college. I didn't have a radio show yet. But anybody who would come within a country mile of me, and there were plenty of Colts fans within a country mile of me when I was at Indiana University, I would tell them, if you draft Peyton Manning instead of Ryan Leaf, you are making the biggest mistake in the history of football. I was so 100% sure that Ryan Leaf was going to be everything that Peyton Manning was. That, I mean, I was never more confident or sure of anything. I watched Ryan Leaf and Washington State tear up some Pac-12 also ran on some Friday night or Saturday night that I watched a late game, and I just fell in love with Ryan Leaf. And I'm like, there will never be a better quarterback than Ryan Leaf, maybe in the history of the league. Draft that guy. And again, could I have been more wrong? The answer is no. And one of the reasons I was wrong is because I had no window into these guys' souls or who they were, their work ethic, and the internet wasn't quite popping. So you hadn't figured out that Ryan Leaf was going into bars specifically to start fights. And he was just this raging asshole of a human being. Like, I didn't know any of that. Because if you're looking for a good guy too, Peyton Manning was obviously the pick, right? So I've remembered that. Again, learning that you don't know shit is one of the greatest lessons in life. And boy, did I learn an awful lot in that lesson. So I've never been a huge draftnik guy. But for the sake of this exercise, with the 11th overall pick, Larry, where are the 49ers going if it were up to you?
Well, it's a tough call, right? It's a tough call across the board because I think if we're getting very specific here,
by the way, thank you, Niners Worldwide. Little understanding there, Damon. Everyone thought Ryan Leaf was going to be good. Thank you.
What a bad guy, too. What a bad guy. You know, remember that video of the writer in San Diego in the locker room coming up to him? He's like, "Get away from me! Get away from me!" It's like, dude, you sound like a petulant 9-year-old, and even that's doing a disservice to 9-year-olds. And it's like, what a douchebag he was. I mean,
he had problems, man. He had problems. Okay.
He had problems, but he was a douchebag anyway.
Yes.
Because he's overcome his problems. He's still a douchebag. But anyway, and I've had him on the radio show, and I root for people to get second chances and everything. So but whatever. It's just
all right. We preambled enough here.
All right, here we go. So here's the decision. I think it's a trade back call. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that it's a trade back. It's a trade back for a defensive player in the second half of round one. That's what it is. That's what it is, and that's what it should be. It should be a trade back from 11 to acquire more picks, preferably one in the third round, and to make this a bonanza. I mean, I've done lots of mock drafts, and when I have 11-man mock 10 and 11-man mock drafts, I get some really good players. But then I also have like 4 or 5 key needs that aren't filled. So I need to have more picks than 10 or 11. I need to have a 15 or 16 man draft class. So I'm moving back, and I don't see a tremendous value. And I'm moving back, even if it's not at a premier cost. You know what I mean? I'm moving back, and I'm accumulating more picks, and I'll take, fair chart value or even slightly below to move back, because to me, that's the right play.
You are interested in volume.
Well, I'm interested in volume because the Niners are interested in volume, and they have a great eye. I'll give the Niners credit. They really do have a very keen eye for prospects, and they do land on a number of guys after the draft during this regime and in day 3 of the draft that a lot of, their track record is really, really, really good there. So I would say get more bites of the apple, and your biggest opportunity to trade back painlessly, I think, is in the first round. And I would trade back. And as far as how far back, I don't want to trade more than 10 or 12 spots back. I don't want to get lower than like 22, 23.
Right. I wouldn't go past 20 either. I would like to go. I would go from 11 to the teens and pick up a third, 2/4, whatever. Right. I'm 100% in agreement. But for the sake of this video, this live stream, you can't trade 11. You can trade back later, but you got to make a pick at 11.
I may take the same guy at 11 that I might. So I'm really debating between a few special players. Okay, let me just give you the who's in the final running for the pick at 11. I don't like drafting guards, but Tyler Booker of Alabama is a absolute road grading guard. The Niners cannot run the ball in the low red zone, and I think that's got to change. I really believe that's got to change. So even though I don't love drafting guards, this is would you draft Quentin Nelson? Yeah, you would. I don't think this guy's Quentin Nelson, but I think he's a 10-year starter who's overpowering in the run game and long arms, 6'5", 330, bulldozer, started as a freshman at Alabama. He's, Alabama's had a lot of guys every year. They've got guys. This guy's better than those guys. This is not your way. They produce this guy every year. No, they don't. This guy's a little bit more special. He's a little bit more of a road grader, a little bit more dominant. So he's on the list, Tyler Booker, but he is a guard. So you got to factor that in.
I would prefer drafting Will Campbell and playing him at guard.
Okay. But you know what? I don't, because I've watched the film of Will Campbell, and I just think he sets so high. He's 6'6". He's really angular. He's an interesting body type. He's 6'6", 325, but he does have kind of short arms, and he's kind of angular. He's kind of narrow. I like kind of broad guys. So I don't know that he's a guard. I know anytime you get a tackle that has short arms, people say, we'll move him, we'll play him at guard. And it usually works out, but he would be a very narrow, tall guard. So I understand that thinking, but I'm passing on the tackles all there, because the tackles that I really like are Emory Jones from LSU, who's listed as the 112th prospect, and Anthony Belton from NC State, who's listed as the 107th prospect. So those are the two guys that I like. And then I like some guys further down the list.
By the way, Rogers in like a third or fourth round, if he's there, that to me is where you picked up that guy. If he's still on the board there, like I've seen him too. I like him an awful lot. I'd love to see him in a 49er uniform. Belton.
Yeah, Belton's a monster. I mean, he's just gigantic body, 6'5", 345. The guy that I love the most, though, is Emory Jones, and that's the LSU kid. He's a former basketball player. He played right tackle for them. Will Campbell was their left tackle. This was the right tackle. And he's got long arms, and he's super athletic, and he's got a frame. I mean, he's 6'5", 312, and he looks downright skinny. This guy's got the ability to put on 25, 30 pounds in the next 10 years. So I love Emory Jones and Anthony Belton, and a couple guys further down the list. So Carson Vincent is one of my favorite guys. He's further down the list. So I kind of like I think I'm going to bury the lead on the tackles. So now I'm really looking at defensive players or Tyler Warren. And I think I'm going to pass on Tyler Warren. And I think I'm going to look at the defensive linemen. So who is it then? It's really comes down to Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher from A&M, who's 6'5", 280 and fast. Love Shamar Stewart more than Mike Green, more than Mikael Williams. I love Ezaraku as well, but Shamar Stewart, I think, has got to be in consideration there. The other two guys are Walter Nolan, obviously Mason Graham if he's there, but Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant. And it's really and then the last guy would be Jalen Walker. So I'm debating between those guys. Booker, Walker, Graham, Nolan, Grant. It's a tough call.
How about this? I don't know if Kenneth Grant has the highest ceiling of those guys, and no one on the planet does, by the way. So anyone who insists they know is lying to you. But I think he's got the easiest to see floor. Like, there's no way Kenneth Grant isn't without injury, like a 6-year-long NFL player, right? I mean, that guy's going to see a second contract. I think he is the safest bet at 11 you could probably make. Like, Kenneth Grant at 11 is a player that you just don't need to worry about. I like that pick for the Niners. And I'll let you finish here. I'll let you give your answer.
The thing about Kenneth Grant, Harbaugh loved him as a freshman. He's 6'3", he's 340 pounds. He's from Gary, Indiana, which is kind of a rough area.
It sure is.
But this guy, and so, I mean, I got to make sure, I got to do my due diligence on the person, and I don't know enough about him as a person, but from what I've heard, he's a hell of a guy. And, to me, Kenneth Grant is the pick.
You're in on Gary. Do we have the same guy? That makes sense.
I love Kenneth Grant. I mean, why? Because Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan might be a little bit better as far as a pass rusher, but there's also concerns about durability there because of the lower half. His legs are a little thin. We've seen that with Kalia Davis. If you have thin lower legs, sometimes it's hard to play 5, 6, 7 games without getting hurt. So Kenneth Grant, I think, is the most indestructible player. He's 6'3", 330. He moves like a man who's 6'3", 280. And that's to me where you start. I mean, most guys who are the one gap nose tackle just absorb blockers, and they don't give you much as a pass rusher. This guy's so fast at 330 that anytime the quarterback moves in the pocket, he can peel off his block and just beeline it to the quarterback. So I don't think there's anybody that reminds me of him. He's so he's a good run defender. I think he's got more upside than Mason Graham. Mason Graham got more done at Michigan, but I think this guy's going to be the better pro. I'm going Kenneth Grant. I'd rather go Kenneth Grant at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in there. But if I can't make a trade and I just got to pick my guy at 11, I'm going with Kenneth Grant. Now the tough one is I do love Jalen Walker, and Jalen Walker he does fit that mold of he is a great player, great athlete, and a great character guy whose dad, played college football, and he's super smart and he's super athletic. But he does have one issue, which is he played defensive end at Georgia. He will not play defensive end in the NFL. He might blitz well from the linebacker spot, but he's not a defensive end. So, and because he hasn't played a lot of stack backer, which is heavily an instinctive position, he needs some smoothing out of everything. His angles, his reps, as a run defender, as a pass defender. But he is going to do the work. He is going to be special. I think he's a better player than Roquan. Now, some people think Roquan was more productive at Georgia, but this guy's better athlete, and was awesomely productive as well. So
Roquan is one of the most automatic tacklers in all of football to this day.
Roquan is a great inside linebacker, but I think Walker is even a better athlete. I think Walker's a faster guy with just as good instincts. So, but I in this scenario, the way this draft looks to me is that this is an awesome draft for linebackers on day 3. So I'm going to pass on the day 1 linebacker for the big defensive tackle. Give me Kenneth Grant.
I like Kenneth Grant an awful lot, Larry. As a matter of fact, he is what I would call my first pivot if what I really think the 49ers need isn't there. So at 11, look, if nothing, I'm consistent. I'm in love with Armand Membu. I'm in love with Armand Membu before he ran the track time at the combine that made the rest of the world fall in love with Armand Membu. He's probably not there at 11. If he is, that is the name I run to the podium with. If Membu's not there, I would take Will Campbell. If Membu and Campbell are both there at 11, I'm taking Membu over Campbell. If neither guy is there at 11, this is when I would absolutely look to trade back. But if I did not find that dance partner, the pick that I would make at 11 would then be Kenneth Grant. I am looking line of scrimmage in the first 2 to 3 rounds. With every pick that I've got in the first 2 to 3 rounds, I am pretty much on the line of scrimmage. I think Kenneth Grant is money. I also, if Grant's not there or you're looking for more than interior line, you're looking edge. Dude, James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, Larry, he might be pound for pound the best prospect in this draft. I mean, he is really good. I watched tournament games and some film on guys because I knew we were going to have this show today. And I mean, you want to talk about bend and all the attributes that are applied to Nick Bosa coming off the edge. This guy's got it. In 2 seasons, 17 and a half sacks with a pressure rate of 21.4. Basically, 1 out of every 4 snaps, he is at the quarterback. He's got the right size. He's explosive. He's done it against the best competition in college football week in, week out in the SEC. I think that James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, if you're looking for more end than tackle, could be the guy over Kenneth Grant. And I would be really happy. If with the 11th overall pick, you get a Membu, a Campbell, a Grant, or a Pierce, that to me is a Go grab yourself a Guinness at the Dubliner. There's a little something to celebrate. I think they picked the right guy. I like all 4 of those guys at 11. I think they're the right players. I think they're going to have the right careers. And I think they certainly address, not just best available, but actual needs of the 49ers. And I would love to see a pick that addressed a need. You better damn well address needs with your first overall pick in this draft.
Well, nobody should make fun of this pick. I mean, this... the thing about Pierce is that
do you like him, or are you gonna
I love him. I mean, first of all, if you back away, like if you get a little bit more perspective and look at this thing, get out of the micro and into the macro, to start taking a wider lens look. This is the guy, and he's been the guy for a long time. He was a 5-star defensive line prospect out of Charlotte, North Carolina. In high school, he was a 5-star prospect across the board. I mean, almost everybody had him as a 5-star. I think Rivals might have had him as a 4-star, but he's a 5-star guy. He was the number 11th overall total prospect in the 2022 college football recruiting cycle. The thing, I mean, and he's an amazing talent, right? I mean, the way he ran that 40 was just like, whoa, this guy's amazing.
He glides.
I mean, he's a legit 6. Yeah, I mean, he's 6'5", he's 245, but he moves so well. I mean, so well. This guy's going to move incredibly well. Now, the accountability, the personality, the motor, the character, that all needs to be investigated because there's a lot of red flags. And there's a lot of people that are very concerned about this kid off the field. So that's the real concern. And to me, I need to have, you can't just be like, one, you can't be an off the field concern in round one for me. That's one.
Fair
Two,
enough.
you can't be, he does have the talent that would make you say, we'll live with it because he's that good. He's that good. And also he plays a position where his job is basically controlled assault, right? I mean, it's like he's playing defensive end in the NFL. I don't want cuddly, soft, nice defensive ends. I don't mind a defensive end or two that runs a little hot or has a little personality, whatever.
I mean, look.
This has to be all I'd say is I think there's a story here, and the physical story is awesome. He's big, strong, fast. He's super athletic. He's got unbelievable balance and get off and all kinds of pedigree. And
here's a legit question from Chris. Great player. I don't see Pierce setting the edge in this broke ass run defense. And that, I guess, will be the question. Does he have enough sand in his pants to be good enough against the run too? And that's a determination the 49ers need to make, not me and Larry.
Yeah. I mean, hugely overrated. Your job is to play defensive end, sack the quarterback. Let Sam O play the run. Let other guys play the run. That's what you got 11 guys on defense for. You got to have somebody who's special coming off the edge. This guy, according to PFF, generated 113 quarterback pressures in 3 seasons at Tennessee.
Yeah, a pressure rate of 21.4%. That's elite.
But there's a but. He did play in 39 career games at Tennessee. Do you know how many games he started? 12.
Is it only 12 his senior year?
He's only started 12 games.
His final year. That's
like a little bit of a red flag.
I think there are some teams that are almost holding guys back for fourth quarter pressures. I don't know. I'm not worried about how many games.
He's a great talent. He's as good a talent as there is, Damon. As far as there's nobody talent-wise, this guy is not looking up at anybody. This guy has all the talent in the world. This is one of the most freaky athletic guys in the entire draft. But you just gotta do your due diligence on the guy and figure out if he's a guy that you think's, and some of these guys are just young. It's just like, hey, man, he's 18, 17, 18, 19.
Right. He was 19 and 20 years old in his 2 seasons. He's not even 21 yet. Kid can't walk into a bar. So,
right. So it might just be immaturity. And then, you could pass on some really good players if it's just immaturity. But if he's not accountable, if he's a bad guy, if he's got bad habits, if he runs around with bad people, then it's a concern.
Warren Sapp is one of the most famous. That guy fell because he got popped with smoking weed in college, and everybody tried to disparage Warren Sapp, and they tried to say he's a red flag, a personality red flag. Have you ever been around Warren Sapp? Have you ever been in the same room as Warren Sapp? That guy's personality will light up a room like a lighthouse is, calling boats to shore around the rocks. That guy's got all kinds of personality. So just because you make bad choices in college, shit, you know how many bad choices I made in college? Doesn't mean you're going to be a bum in life. So if you get a good guy, yeah,
it doesn't. So, and also here's the bottom line: take the talent and live with the person. But as I said off the start, when you find out that a guy who's a great player with great measurables and great film also is a great person, that's when you're like, okay,
that's threading the ultimate draftable needle.
Yeah, it's Canton, Ohio. It's like, hey, that's when you have Bryant Young. When you have a guy who looks the part, walks through the door, and you're like, oh, yeah. Then you watch the film, you're like, oh, my God, this guy plays the part. He's really, really good. Then you figure out who he is, and you're like, oh, my God, this guy's a salt-of-the-earth human being. Well, guess what? Canton. And that's where he wound up.
My daughter, after all.
mean, seriously, it's like, when you're the biggest, strongest, fastest, smartest, and most hardworking, you're probably going to be successful.
You're going to want to draft that guy. Absolutely. So I know that
I'm going Kenneth Grant over everybody. But if you told me you were going to go with Walter Nolan, I'd be fine with Walter Nolan as well.
Membu Campbell. Membu Campbell.
I love Membu. Think Membu's really, really good. I'm just trying to get it all done, and I like Emory Jones.
Okay.
Potential a little bit more, especially when you factor in that you could probably get Emory Jones late in the second round.
So I know that we titled the thumbnail, what we want the 49ers to do, who we don't want them to do, which is something I was thinking about, which made me think about aren't you the same idiot who liked Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning? Should you be giving the do not draft advice? Damon, you probably shouldn't. I don't have a player to disparage. I don't have a guy to look at and say, bum, not him. I mean, we can debate who's going where and overdraft, underdraft. You took him too high, took him too low, all that stuff. I don't want anyone off the line of scrimmage in the first 2 rounds. I'm not interested. If you get Damon, I got the best wide receiver in this draft for you at 11. Take him somewhere else. I don't give a shit. I get the best cornerback for you at 11. No, I would rather have somebody who can eventually play on the line of scrimmage than a corner who can start at 11. You got to, did you watch the Super Bowl? You got to get better on the line of scrimmage, either direction. To me, a running back, a wide receiver, a corner would be the mistake, because it would basically say the 49ers didn't even watch the postseason because they weren't in it. They don't understand how this league works. And I know that they need those things, Larry, but it's got to be line. If beef ain't what's for dinner, they shouldn't be cooking the meal early on.
Well, to me, I disagree. I'm not as stringent. I'm not as strict as you are, because I know that greatness comes in. They just need great players. I mean, they need to draft a great anything over a good anybody. I mean. They have good players. It's not about good. It's about great. But you're getting beat, but you're getting passed by because other teams are drafting great players, and you just have the same great players you always had 3 years ago. You still have, except they're older and more broken down, and you got to replenish your great player reservoir. So I would say great. I hear what you're saying, but like Jedi Barron is one of those guys that has it all. His film is great. He tested great. His personality is absolutely ideal. He's the kind of guy that just lives for football, and he's a phenomenal corner, and he's going to be a dominating player. Okay, so, a lot of people think he's Brian Branch. Okay, so to me, I got no problem going with Jedi Barron, because I think he's a great player. Now, he plays corner, but you're still going to have to get your linemen at some point. Right. That's one guy. As far as your other guys, though, I kind of agree with your. I agree with the rest of it.
You can have Deion Sanders and Darrelle Revis back there. If a quarterback has all day to get to his target, your corners they better be first ballot Hall of Famers. There's no better way to make a corner look good than to have a defensive line that gets the quarterback.
I know, but this defensive line crop this year, what I'm really talking about is that I love Kenneth Grant and, a couple other guys up front, but you're going to be able to get CJ West in the 3rd round.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you're going to be able to get Jordan Phillips out of Maryland in the 3rd round. You're going to be able to get some of these guys that are really, really good players. Really good defensive linemen.
Offensive line early. That's why I think they got to go offensive line at 11. There's just a deeper pond of talent to fish for. All your defensive line concerns a little bit later. Again, Membu or Campbell is there. One of them to me is the answer.
Yeah, my only concern with that is just that, it takes a while. It takes a while for offensive linemen, and it's like, what are you going to sit there and
unless Pooney, right? Unless Pooney.
Yeah, for every Pooney, though, even Pooney, it's like he was the one guy who could plug and play. But most offensive linemen take a while. It's just the way it is. It's just
it's like developing a big man in the NBA. There's a long, steep learning curve. There is. But no matter who the pick is at 11, he's on the field week 1 as a starter, right?
Well, that's the thing. That is the issue, is that offensive linemen, only the starting 5 play, and the backups don't play. And on the defensive line, they all play. So if you draft a defensive lineman and for whatever reason he doesn't start, he still plays.
Right.
But if you draft an offensive lineman and he doesn't start, he doesn't play. So it's kind of you can't, like, I've seen people's mocks where they have the Niners taking like 3 and 4 rookie offensive linemen. I don't think it's going to be like that, because I just don't believe they're going to give 4 of their 4 roster spots to guys who are really raw, and it's all about the future, and they're not prioritizing now maybe Membu could start at left guard, right away. But
I have both in my mind. Membu or Campbell is your left guard with potential to move to either tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. To me, the need is more severe on defense.
Oh, I would agree.
On offense, you have guys. On defense, you don't have anybody. You have literally nobody. I mean, who do you have at defensive tackle today? You're playing a game today. Who's starting at defensive tackle? Kevin Givens. And Jordan Elliott. I mean, that's not going to the Super Bowl. That's those guys from that. You're not going to the Super Bowl. You may not. That's not even a playoff combo. So I think defensive. Like, if I could, in some of these mocks, and I've looked at them, I've gone defensive tackle with the first 2 picks. Like, there was one mock that I did yesterday that had Kenneth Grant I took him in round 1. I traded back to get him, and I got a round 2 pick. And sure enough, with my first round 2 pick, there's Walter Nolan at the top of the board. Well, I took him. So I'm like, I have Grant and Walter Nolan.
And then it is, pray that Ben Barch at 1.3 million is your answer. But I mean, if you walked away with both of those players, first couple of, I'd have no complaints. Not for me.
As far as who don't want,
you better hope that the guys that you got in McKivitz and in Ben Barch are ready to be phenomenal this year.
Who don't you want?
Again, I don't really have the name of don't want that guy. I don't want a wide receiver or a running back early. You come back for one last third of the draft, I think that's the time to do it. But to me, this is all about blocking and tackling. The 49ers' 2 biggest problems were blocking and tackling last year. That needs to be addressed. There's always some fucking dude who's talented enough to get open and catch a ball. Every team's got him. Every team's got him. Some are better than others, but every team's got a guy who can run, catch a ball, take it to the end zone. It's football's loaded with those guys. Beef.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about the receiver class. I think I was going through this yesterday. I printed up a list of, I ran across a list, and as I printed it up, it was the guys who had the best 40 times at the combine. And I'm looking at this list because this is what the 49ers really need. They need some big playability, right? They need some big playability. And they need some speed. They really do. They're a slow outfit, very slow. So I would say there were some guys who aren't necessarily superstar receivers who did run some great 40 times who you can get late in this draft. Auburn, the former Penn State receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith, who transferred to Auburn. He ran in the 4.3s, 4.38. He's probably going to be there on day 3. Ty Felton from Maryland ran in the 4.3s, probably going to be there on day 3. So there's a couple guys, RJ Harvey and Brashard Smith, a couple running backs that are really fast. 4.39 for Brashard Smith, 4.40 for RJ Harvey. I love both those guys. I would want some of these guys who have this incredible speed, but not up front. So I'm going to say the guys who I would say pass on.
Who do you not like? Is there a name out there that you've already put an X through? Don't draft that guy. Do you have your I don't like that guy?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of them. One of them's Mikael Williams from Georgia, who just absolutely looks the part. And lots of people are like, "Oh, get that guy! Oh
Yeah.
my God,
That's a popular name to not like.
get Mikael Williams." And I watched Georgia, and I watched them tons. I mean, I watch them because I love watching them, and they have so many athletes. So I watch them a lot. And this guy absolutely is the first guy off the bus. 6'5", 260, super ripped. He looks awesome. And if you catch him on, highlight reel, his highlight reel is really awesome. But he just doesn't make enough plays. He just disappears for long stretches. It's like he looks the part, but so does Robert Beal.
Is that because there's too much talent around him and there's not enough meat on the bone for him to actually make a play on? Because so many guys out there are making plays for him. I mean, I don't
think so. I just think that this guy's Georgia comes up with a ton of great athletes every single year. Some of them become Roquan Smith. Some of them become Robert Beal. What's Robert Beal doing right now? The Niners have Robert Beal. He runs in the 4.4s. He's 6'4". He's 260. He's basically this guy. This guy's 6'5", 260, except he doesn't run in the 4.4s. And he was good at Georgia, just not great. And I don't remember him making the key plays as much as Jalen Walker did, for example. So I think, a lot of you find busts on these dominant Alabama teams and LSU teams and Georgia teams and Ohio State teams and USC teams, because everybody's a 5-star, but they're, some guys are just along for the ride. So I don't love Mikael Williams, even though he looks the part. To me, I'd rather gamble on James Pierce's character. Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College is there. I'd rather, take a gamble on Shamar Stewart's lack of production at A&M. To me, if I'm going to go with a freaky athlete whose production kind of came and went, I'll go with Shamar Stewart all day, every day over Mikael Williams. So I don't love Mikael Williams. And the other guy I don't really love is Deion Walker, the gigantic defensive tackle, 6'7", 330 from Kentucky. He's just a bad body, terrible framed, skinny little calves. Probably going to get hurt. Doesn't look like he's in condition. His body is just, he's got the body of a 60-year-old person. I mean, his stomach is a freaking avalanche. I mean, it's bad. It's like, I saw this guy's body at the one-on-ones, and I'm like, Jesus, oh my God, this guy's a disgusting fat body.
When it comes to replacing Dre Greenlaw, I think that becomes like a big priority, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So I've been looking at linebackers, somewhere available in those picks, 43, 75, which the 49ers have. Well, 75 would be a 3rd round pick. I know that you and I have talked about JJ Pegues, the D tackle at Ole Miss. And I was
talking about linebackers. We talking about D tackles.
No, but so we've been talking about Pegues while I was watching film on Pegues, and because I saw his name, I started looking at Chris Paul Jr., Ole Miss linebacker. Chris Paul Jr. His nickname is Pooh Paul Jr. Pretty good player, Larry. I like him.
Yeah, very good player. Very good player. He was at he was Greenlaw. He was at Arkansas. And then he transferred to Ole Miss, like everybody did at the end there. And he's a good player. He's a good player.
By the way, I do like JJ Pegues is a reason why the Niners don't need D tackle at 11.
Yeah, he's another. There's a lot of great D tackles. JJ Pegues is probably going to go, somewhere between right around 150. I think somewhere in there. He's going to go down the list. I'm not a big Derek Harmon fan. Everybody's going crazy about Derek Harmon. I'll tell you, I don't love Oregon. The Oregon guys are not good.
Niners have got a lot of Oregon. Niners have had some success though. Diamador Lenore, I know that's not a D tackle, but DeForest Buckner came from Oregon. Eric Armstead came from Oregon. Yeah, those guys were hits, not misses, I would say.
Yeah.
But look, just because those were good players out of Oregon means nothing to this player. It really doesn't.
Well,
But
he's
we know
a
that there
very
is a
good player
relationship between this team and, John Lynch, and he likes Oregon guys.
He does, but Bassa to me doesn't look great. But Derek Harmon also he was great with pressures. He had 55 pressures, but his numbers against the run were putrid. And, he generated 55 pressures, 12th most among all players in the FBS. So he's a pass rusher, but I didn't love the way he worked out at the combine.
I read this.
Didn't like what I saw there, and don't like the numbers that I saw against the run. I mean, he doesn't stand in against the run. This guy started at Michigan State. He's a Detroit kid who went to Loyola High School, and then he went to Michigan State. He transferred to Oregon. He was on the most talented defensive line in the country. Jamari Caldwell, Jordan Birch, and Harmon all on one line. And he's all right. He's pretty good. He's okay. He's just not great.
The Matt Barrows story in The Athletic about how John Lynch and Dan Lanning had, dinner or something at the combine. They went to St. Elmo's. They got some shrimp cocktail. I don't know. But, Dan Lanning was talking up his guy. Well, Dan Lanning's going to talk up all his guys. I mean, come on. It's, you think
I get questions with almost every single one of his guys. I don't want Dylan Gabriel. The Connerly tackle is an incredible athlete from Rainier High School in the Pacific Northwest, but he's a great mover, but just an okay player. Ferguson had the greatest workout of any tight end, and yet I think he's good, not great. The running back they have is just okay. Tez ran in the 4.5s. He didn't run well. Birch was totally AWOL. He was a South Carolina kid who transferred to Oregon, finally got it going his senior year. Caldwell didn't do anything. I mean, no production hardly at all, even though he looked like a monster at the combine at 340 pounds. Harmon's a great pass rusher, but not a great run defender. It's just like you got to be kidding. The guy I kind of like the most at Oregon is the corner, Jabbar Muhammad, who's probably going to be a 5th round corner. So I think Oregon, I don't think a lot of Oregon's guys, and I didn't think a lot of Oregon in the playoffs. I bet the Buckeyes to take them apart, and they did. That game was over at the Anthem. So I'm not a big Ducks fan. I just think that I would say, if you can stay away from one school in this draft, stay away from the Ducks.
I mean, I don't know. Bo Nix has been pretty good.
Bo Nix is pretty. I didn't say every Duck ever is bad. I just said that I don't like the Ducks in this draft. I mean, the Ducks had LaMichael James. Ask Niner fans how they feel about LaMichael James.
I mean, I'm giving him carries late in a Super Bowl, Larry. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we like. That's what we don't like in this upcoming draft. Again, like and subscribe, our good friends. Great to have you here. Thank you so much. Again, I got a short that has just been blowing up, Larry. I think I might have my first could get to 1 million video, which would be the first official. You got to viral anything on your YouTube channel. I got a short that's just being kissed on the forehead by the algorithm all weekend long. I picked up like 700 subscribers based on this one short. It's freaking amazing. I've never felt like I mattered on YouTube until this. So thanks everyone for watching that. Like and subscribe across both channels if you would, please. It's going to be a very interesting week. Interesting week coming up here for the Warriors. We're going to be playing baseball by the end of this week, Larry. And, I have leaned into the Giants just a little. And they got one thing going for them that they're going to need going for them all year long, and that's just like good vibes. Like I don't, they're going to have to win on vibes, not necessarily impressive lineup talent, right? And they got some good vibes around them right now. The Giants have had a fantastic Cactus League, whatever that means. Sometimes it means a lot, sometimes it doesn't mean anything. But interesting. This is going to be a good week. Then the Masters is right around the corner. We're going to have a really good Sweet 16, hopefully better than the opening round. Final Four is coming up. This is a great time, Larry. This is one of my favorite times of the sports year. It really is.
One other thing that's a big week is this is probably Brandon Ayuk's last week with the Niners.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the 24th. If people are not aware, you probably should be, and that is that Brandon Aiyuk has got a massive bonus coming to him on the 1st. Many people believe he's going to be traded. I'm one of those people that believes he is going to be traded.
To who for what? To who for what?
I'm going to say to Cleveland. It seems like the talk is that Cleveland, the Browns have reportedly, and this is, different people reporting this, so it's hard to get a good handle on this, but according to some people, and I don't know who's credible on this, so I'll just say some people, the Browns have reportedly offered a 4th-round pick and a starter for Brandon Aiyuk, and the Niners are looking for a 3rd-round pick. The Browns can afford Aiyuk. Ayuk's 2025 salary cap hit would be just $6.15 million. If the Niners are looking to get out from the Aiyuk deal and trade him, this is a big week because he's got an option bonus of $22.8 million that's due June 1st. And
in this not sure we trust it story, who's the player?
April 1st, I should say April 1st.
Who's the player they got coming back with Aiyuk? Did they mention it? Who's the start? Aiyuk for a 4th and a starter. Who's the starter?
My guess is like Martin Emerson or Greg Newsome, probably a corner. Probably, some people say Denzel Ward, but I mean, the thing about the Browns is they're in cap hell because of the quarterback, and they're trying to kind of reestablish everything. So it's, they can afford him, but there's, there's talk that Greg Newsome's coming off a year where he wasn't very good. Emerson's a little bit younger. He's a corner, former Mississippi State corner. Obviously, they have Denzel. I mean, they also have J.O. The one interesting name with the Browns is J.O.K. Why? Because J.O.K. is a really good player, but also J.O.K. in a lot of ways is exactly in the same spot that Aiyuk's in. He's a great player who they recently signed to a deal, who has a serious injury, and status for this year is up in the air. So, I could see a guy like JOK and a being involved, just because I think, one, the Niners would love him. Two, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play anymore. I mean, there's a chance he won't play ever again. So they obviously have to do their due diligence. They can't trade for a player that's never going to play again. But JOK ran into Derrick Henry last year and hurt his neck and didn't play the rest of the year. And they've been really hush-hush about his status. They just picked up Jerome Baker, the former Ohio State linebacker, in free agency. There's a lot of speculation that maybe that means that JOK's done, or that JOK is not going to be ready at the beginning of the year. Well, if he's done, obviously I don't want him. But if he's just not going to be ready at the beginning of the year, I think that would be the guy to get and a draft pick.
Trading problems for problems.
Yeah, but I mean, you're obviously it's personal. It's, with Aiyuk, him and Shanahan, whatever. I mean, the shorts thing and the whole, it seems very personal. Now, the Niners, I don't think that they're, I don't think that it's all about the contract. I think it's they want to move on from the player. So, and that's just
a combination. I mean, it's a combination of everything.
I think he's going to be traded. I think Lynch told us as much when he was asked about the trade rumors. And instead of just putting it to bed, which would have been the easy thing to do and the prudent thing to do, he didn't do that. Why? Because he knew that putting it to bed was going to be leading people down the wrong path. So he didn't put it to bed. If nothing, he threw gasoline on it and started talking about the need to hit a reset. And so I think they're going to trade him. I think he's probably going to the Browns. And my guess is it's going to be at the, maybe like, if I had to predict it, I would say Greg Newsome and day 3 draft capital.
Now we also know
Browns have 4 6-round picks, by the way, 4
from last year's, rumors and innuendo. The New England Patriots could be interested and open to Brandon Aiyuk as well. And they're a team that knows that they need to just start assembling things in the right direction. They are not under a win now mandate, which means Aiyuk is right for them. If that's the way they're conducting business, already going into 2025, they're thinking about 2026 and beyond. Maybe Aiyuk makes sense in New England.
He could. They have Jabril Peppers, who could make sense for the Niners, coming back as a free safety. They also have 3 7th-round picks. They have 3 7th-round picks.
Issue, didn't he, this year, though?
What's that?
Didn't Jabril Peppers get in some serious off-the-field trouble this year?
I think he was exonerated.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you what, when they played the
he was their best player. Without a doubt, Jabril Peppers was the best New England Patriot on the field that day.
He's a good player, but it doesn't have to be him. It could be somebody else. But I could see the Patriots who have. See, the thing about it is, when John Lynch said, "Hey, you know what? This whole diatribe about when he was asked about Aiyuk trade rumors, and he just poured gas on it by saying, "Oh, we need to hit a reset," and then he's like, did this stream of consciousness thought, and I don't know if he realized what he was saying. And then he comes out and he says, well, the good side of this, never saying what this was, is that, we need to get younger. So it came across like, yes, we're going to trade Aiyuk and we're going to trade him for multiple draft choices. But if you really think about it logically, Aiyuk, because of his contract and because of his injury, is not worth multiple draft choices on day 1 or day 2. But he is worth multiple draft choices on day 3. And we don't know. I think the motivation for the Niners, Damon, is to get that $110 million of Jed York's money back in his account. And so I think they're willing to take day 3 picks for Aiyuk.
I don't be willing to take a future for Aiyuk.
Well, think about this, though. It does set up for day 3 picks based on what he said. And then when I went and looked at the Browns and Patriots, the 2 teams that are rumored to be interested in Aiyuk, what did I find? The Pats have 3 7th-round picks and the Browns have 4 6th-round picks. I would bet anything that before the deadline, New England or Cleveland's day 3 picks, some combination of those 2 teams' day 3 picks.
Okay, so what if I offered you, just for Brandon Aiyuk, 2 6th-round picks this year and a 5th the following year, or Brandon Aiyuk for 2 6th and a 7th this year?
That's too low. It's too low. But I'll say this. It's also going to be about the Niners, as you know, even though people are saying they're not contenders, and I know that they think of themselves as contenders.
First of all, anyone who's saying the Niners are not contenders is a prisoner of the moment. And they we're in the moment. Write all this down. Remember, by the way, too,
we're in the moment, though. People I understand what you're saying, but you're right. But we're in the moment. So you can't fault people for saying right now they're not a Super Bowl contender, because right now is all we got. Right. Everything else is.
If you're playing a game today, you're starting defensive tackles, Clea Davis, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And who's your second inside backer? Jalen Graham? So you've got all kinds of issues. But and I think they understand that. But I would bet anything that Jed York, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, when they reconvene, when they talk to us next, guess what they're going to say? Oh, it's business as usual here. We're not taking a 2-year walk. We're not easing off the gas pedal. We are going for it. We're just doing a reset in the middle of going for it, but we are going for it. Don't you think that would be like, if Lynch met with us today, don't you think he would say, hey, we're absolutely going to try to win the Super Bowl. We expect to be in that Super Bowl at Levi's next year. You know what I mean?
One thing I'm sure of, Larry, is there's not a single fucking team in this market who has the guts to say we're rebuilding outside of the San Jose Sharks. Okay. Not a single one of them is going to,
or the A's for 25 years.
Right. But that doesn't even count anymore. Right? Yeah. The A's are in a 25-year figure it out project. But I do like a couple of the moves they made. Too bad they're up in West Sacramento now and no one gives a shit. But
by the way, just purchased my tickets. Guess who's playing in Sacramento 4th of July weekend?
Oh, you're going to a 4th of July A's game up in Sacramento? Is that what you're telling me?
Giants A's in West Sac there on the 4th, the 5th, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. Friday night is the 4th, Saturday night and Sunday night. There's 3 games, all 7:10 starts. Giants A's from Rayleigh Field there.
What'd you pay for those tickets?
I told my brother to buy them and I'd pay him back. So I don't know because
you don't know yet. I guarantee you that pay you back number, that pay you back number is going to be huge because all the tickets up there are expensive. I'm guessing Giants A's tickets are extra expensive. Plus, you put it on 4th of July weekend. That now, remember, it only costs 90% more to fly first class. So,
right.
Yeah, I guarantee you're in for $500 a pop on those tickets, Larry.
No, it's a baseball game, dude. No, then I'm not in. I'm $500
You better call your pop. You better.
The Krug show's doing well. It's not doing that well.
You better call your brother. I guarantee you there are at least 3. Guaranteed.
Really? For a baseball game?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care where I sit. Any seat
in a minor league ballpark on the 4th of July?
Well, yeah, no, I know. Come on. I mean, it can't be.
Hey, I'll say a prayer for you, buddy. Good luck. I hope you got them for $75 each. But if you do, you're going to get there and find that you can sell these tickets probably for like $300 a pop. I mean, that's going to be a big number, I think. Good luck.
Joji, by the way, says trade BA to the Patriots for Kendrick Bourne and 3 7th-round picks. I'll say this.
Kendrick Bourne. Sure. Why not?
What I was going to say about the draft, though, is that we all know that the Niners need a lot, right? And we also know that they have a bunch of picks and that they're probably going to wind up because of Aiyuk and maybe because of a trade back that we already discussed, are even going to wind up with even more picks than they have. They have 11 picks right now, including the 11th pick overall. I think they're going to wind up with more like 15. Okay, so that's a lot of picks. Do you want 15 rookies? Well, you might if they're all good or whatever. But I have a feeling that the 49ers, especially if they made this trade with Aiyuk getting day 3 capital, I could see them flipping a pick or 2 for a veteran. And one of them that I think is absolutely going to happen is I think that it makes too much sense for it not to happen. Bryce Huff was a Jet under Robert Saleh. He was great. He had a phenomenal year. He had 10.5 sacks. He was amazing. He got traded for Hassan Reddick to Philadelphia. It was some deals are win-win. This was the lose-lose deal. The Jets, Reddick was bad with his team, and Huff was bad with the Eagles. So it didn't work out for either team. Well, the Eagles still have Bryce Huff, even though he was inactive for Super Bowl 59 and he didn't play very much. I think the 49ers are going to flip a day 3 pick to the Eagles on draft weekend, and Bryce Huff is going to be a Niner. And I think Bryce Huff is going to be your edge rusher opposite Nick Bosa week 1 for Robert Saleh. I think Saleh will get that done. I think Saleh is the key figure now because he came here. He's probably been charged with rebuilding this defense. So a lot of his handpicked guys, he wanted Greenlaw, couldn't afford him. They wanted DJ Reed, couldn't afford him. Here's a guy that I think in trade they will be able to afford in Bryce Huff. And I think the Niners get multiple day 3 picks for Aiyuk and then flip one of those day 3 picks to the Jets for Bryce Huff.
I like the logic.
Yeah.
I like all the dots you're connecting, trying to make that happen. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I think there's
just
a lot of dots
not working
there.
in Philly, right? It's not going to happen for him in Philly. I think Philly's also going to try to move big Jordan Davis. I don't know if the Niners will have interest because I don't know if he's a great scheme fit for them, but I think they'll be looking for draft capital. Howie will be making a bunch of moves, but that's one of them. I think Bryce Huff to the Niners for a day 3 pick makes a lot of sense. Now, if I could get the Raiders to give me Matthew Mayer or Michael Mayer, obviously they're going with Brock Powers. They're shopping Mayer. If I could get a a fourth round pick, an extra fourth round pick for a guy like Aiyuk, I'd flip it to the Raiders for Michael Mayer.
So if you flip that pick to the Raiders from Michael Mayer, then we got to sort of retroactively start taking apart your offseason decisions. And why'd you spend all that money on Luke Farrell?
It wasn't that much money. It's actually, Kev had a tweet about this. If you look closely at that deal and the specifics that came out, it's a 1-year deal for $6 million.
Okay, fair enough.
It's really not that big of it.
But the look of the deal is not only are you picking up a blocking tight end, but you're also getting a fullback in this guy. The fact that,
but Juice is back,
right? But you got Juice back, which means you probably shouldn't have done the Luke deal and just made the trade with the Raiders if Myers is really available.
Well, he is available. I mean, there's always the skepticism that will Mark Davis ever deal with the Niners. I think that's more for about, you're not getting Max Crosby. You weren't getting Khalil Mack, but I think you could probably get Michael Mayer if you were willing to give them they probably want a third round pick. And I think there's probably a number of teams that are offering.
Just remember, the Raiders don't like doing business with the 49ers.
Yeah, they don't. But in this situation, I don't think it would be more about can you satisfy them? And the only way you're going to satisfy them, I mean, you'd probably have to give them if you want Michael Mayer right now, I think you got to give them a third round pick. If you don't want, if you want a Michael Mayer on draft weekend, I think you could wait, and I bet you could get him for a fourth round pick or some combination of a fourth and a 26 pick or something. But I do like Mayer, and I think Mayer would be a very good option for the Niners because once again, you can't have, even though you got 15, you might wind up with 15 draft choices. Do you want 15 rookies? No. But if you could come away with a Mayer who's in year 3, a Bryce Huff who's in year 5, whatever, and you got a couple of guys that you could, you got 10 draft choices that you really liked, but you also have 3 young veterans that you handpicked from other teams, if you're the Niners and you really want to go to the Super Bowl at Levi's next year, it's going to take this level of creativity and thinking outside the box because you could get the greatest Florida State defensive end, the greatest Georgia linebacker, the greatest North Carolina, whatever, and it still is going to take some time.
They're all rookies who haven't done a thing in this league, starting with playing a snap. Right. So
you're gonna get that lucky that you're gonna hit on everybody, and everybody's gonna be like Dom Pooney. They're gonna be like plug and play day one. Don't miss a beat. It's probably unrealistic.
We're just handing John Lynch NFL Executive of the Year in the middle of the second round of the draft. You nailed it all.
Right. Which and that's the other thing. There's a lot of people who are like, "Hey, John Lynch is delusional." I don't know if he's delusional. I think he understands they've had success on day 3. I think he fully understands their predicament, but there's a budget, right? And his boss is Jed and Parag, and they've told him this is your budget, and they're going to hit the reset. I'm doing a video on this later today because I think it needs to there needs to be a video on this. I mean, the cleansing of the cap for the Niners, they're taking a big dead cap hit in
the biggest
2025.
It will have the biggest in football, right? This year,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have the NFL salary cap this year is $279.2 million. The Niners carried over the most cap room from 24, so their adjusted cap is $341.4 million, the highest in the NFL. That's 15 million more cap room dollars than any other team in the NFL because of the money they're carrying over from last year. So they can afford to take a dead cap hit in 25 because they can easily absorb it with the cap going up. The Niners are taking a sizable cap hit in 2025. Right now, they have $77.8 million in dead money. It's the most dead cap of any team in the NFL. The benefit of doing it now is that you avoid future cap hits. So they're cleansing their future salary cap by taking a big dead cap hit in 2025. The Niners currently have $42 million in available cap space. That's the 7th most cap space in the NFL. As you know, and others know, a lot of it's earmarked for Brock.
I think the biggest dead cap number in football last year was the Denver Broncos coming out of the Russell Wilson fiasco.
They did great.
And they were a playoff team. Again, you can't care about things that NFL teams have decided to not care about. I mean, you can, but you're sort of wasting your time. If NFL teams, one after another, are just looking at dead cap numbers as a means to an end to a better future, that's the way you got to look at them too. You know, if NFL teams aren't losing any sleep over it, for you to lose sleep over it as a fan is just a fool's errand. So,
I mean, there's ways around it. It's not like the cap doesn't matter. It does matter. I don't know that I would be doing tons of charts and talking down to people about it left and right, because the Niners, like, from this perspective that the Niners are always right, when the Niners are clearly not always right. And if they were always right, they wouldn't have missed 20 times. You know, if this was the world's greatest personnel evaluation system, they would not have missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds between when they took over in 2017 and last year. So this whole, the Niners have everything right, do everything right, handicap every draft right, make every right financial decision is pie in the sky dog shit. And anybody who's going with that is a fool.
Well, and just remember, too, when it comes to those who want to sell you the opposite, that it's all a disaster, that there's no way they're going to be back in the postseason next year, that everything has been done poorly, mishandled, mismanaged. Remember, those are the exact same content creators who told you Trey Lance was a sure thing. There's almost a perfect Venn diagram.
By the way, where is Trey Lance right now? Trey Lance is still available.
Actually, Larry, that is actually my 11 o'clock show.
You're doing a show on Trey Lance?
Trey Lance's NFL career might be over. In a game of quarterback and musical chairs, I don't think there is a chair for him to land in this upcoming season. Joe Flacco's phone would ring 100 times more than Trey Lance's phone, because Trey Lance isn't even a backup quarterback. He wasn't even the second string quarterback in Dallas last year. I just don't think that there is any more room at the end for a guy like Trey Lance. And the conversation that you and I have had multiple times about the NFL having a developmental league for issues just like this is something that the league, I think, needs to explore.
Well, but it's time for him to get out of his comfort zone. He's made $35 million. Does he want to sit on his $35 million and become you were a bust, but you got $35 million and, you know, perfect that story at cocktail parties for the next 25 years? Or are you going to get off your keister, go play in Canada like Jeff Garcia did, like Doug Flutie did, like Warren Moon did, and show everybody that they're fucking wrong and that you're a ball player and that you can do this and that you got this? And it's like, you know what? What are you about? Are you about having a few bucks in your pocket? Well, guess what? You got a few bucks in your pocket. If you're about having a pro career, go out and seize the moment, go to Canada and show everybody what you got.
That's part of the show that I got coming up at 11. Sometimes you got to take a step backwards to take a step forwards. And I think Trey Lance needs to exit the NFL to have a future in the NFL, because right now there is no even spot for him in the NFL.
Well, did you hear the talk about how the scouts view him?
But the 49ers 2025, Mac Jones is a bust as well. Mac Jones is a rostered NFL player. It might have been.
First of all, wait.
He's in the league. Trey Lance might not even be in the league.
Mac Jones is a bust as well. Mac Jones has already made a Pro Bowl.
It's people, Larry.
Put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Mac Jones has already been to the Pro Bowl.
I mean, I don't know how much that Pro Bowl appearance is really the argument or the defining trait of the man either, but he did. In a year where no one even wants to go to a Pro Bowl, he was the 9th alternate for the AFC that year, and congrats.
But he went to the Pro Bowl. And then he probably was a quarterback with the worst offensive coaches and the worst offensive weaponry of any player in pro football. So let's see what he looks like. I mean, I understand that he didn't have a good couple of years in New England, and he backed up this year in Jacksonville, but we'll see. I mean, Florio thinks he's there to take Purdy's job. Florio thinks he's some major threat. I don't know if I'd call him a major threat, but I also wouldn't group him with Trey fucking Lance at this point.
No, I mean, look at it this way. Trey Lance is a full-on 5-alarm fire. The entire burning is building down. Mac Jones is a little grease fire in the kitchen compared to that,
I mean, I'm not saying Mac Jones is going to be good, but Mac Jones was only really bad with a bad offensive coordinator and a bad offensive system and bad weapons.
Mac Jones, I think, has a very good chance to become this season's next Sam Darnold, where the conversation around him changes. Shanahan has laid his hands on him. Brock Purdy, the mentor, which, look, Sam Darnold has given more love to Brock Purdy, the mentor, than you would expect an older player to give. But he tells you that you come to the 49ers, you become a better quarterback. I think Mac is going to have that word. So, by the way, also in this draft, you're talking about things that I don't think are going to happen. So unless you see, what's his name? The kid from Missouri. Like if Missouri's Brady Cook is out still waiting for somebody to draft him at the end of the 6th, the beginning of the 7th round. Like if you're telling me that with the 227th pick, the 49ers took Brady Cook, quarterback out of Missouri, as a future project, fine. Otherwise, I think they got their quarterback room pretty much settled once they get Purdy's contract done. Purdy is the guy. Mac Jones is the Kyle Shanahan reclamation project. And Tanner Mordecai is the young, raw talent, the project that you're developing.
I like Riley Leonard a lot, but I mean, the Niners have so many needs. I think they're pretty much set at quarterback. I think Lynch said it as much the other day. He came out. They asked him at one of the pro days, "Hey, where are you at quarterback?" He's like, "Well, I think we're pretty set at quarterback." Yeah, they feel good about what they have at quarterback. By the way, a couple comments in the chat. WK, no matter what happens from here, just promise me we draft Willie Lampkin, and then Invader 49er. Two chats later says Lampkin will not get drafted.
Undrafted. Well,
Invader
available.
An Invader. Let's wager. I would wager almost anything that Willie Lampkin will get drafted.
I'm already down a stake to Kruger, so be careful betting Larry right now.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think Willie Lampkin will.
By the way,
wait, Invader. I'm down. All right, Invader. What's the wager? What are we wagering, Invader?
How about this? You get the Eddie mask. He has to send you the Iron Maiden Eddie mask, and you can use it now as your avatar, Larry. Invader logo. Invader Niners got to drop the mask.
Wait a second. I asked Lance Zierlein, and he said no, Lampkin will not get drafted.
Oh, well.
He's in many of the mocks. He's going in like the 4th or 5th round. I do agree he's going to be a late day 3 guy. But, man, if I at any point hear the 49ers have drafted Willie Lampkin, I am absolutely going to be doing cartwheels. That's my favorite guy in this draft.
Right, mask for helmet. That's mask for helmet, Larry. What helmet of Larry's?
I have my gold miners helmet.
Your old gold miners helmet. You can't give that away, Larry. That's part of your past. That's not just something you can't give that away.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is you don't want to try to grab a helmet. So I don't know. We'll figure something out, Invader, but maybe we'll have to do an appearance on the Krug show. But yeah, we'll go gentleman's wager until we can agree on compensation that you'll be paying me.
Well, now we're going to need some gentlemen.
Oli Chaos says Washington took every guy Larry suggested last year. Keep it. What's that? What the heck is that?
Keep it curious. Keep being you, Larry. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that emoji is. If you don't know the emoji, why have it as the key word in the phrase?
Yeah, Larry and I are a little bit too old to speak fluent emoji.
Yeah, especially not when you're like putting pieces together and it's now a smiley face, but it's upside down, it's sideways. It's like, oh my God. Ben Diesel 85. I trade back and pick defensive end Jalon Walker. Yeah, I'm telling you though, at 6'1", 245, he ain't going to be a defensive end. He's going to be a stack backer who blitzes from time to time. Maitland says, pray Membu or Walker falls to 11. Walker's versatility kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Wouldn't mind Tyler Warren either. Brings a new threat to the offense. Tyler Warren is a big-bodied tight end for sure. But the only question is, can the 49ers Tyler Warren would have been a perfect pick for them last year when they were like, looking for that, they had kind of like, oh, we can go with anything we want here. This year they have such needs.
Right.
You're really going to invest Tyler Warren. Realistically, how many times in a 65 play day at the office offensively are you going to go 12 personnel with double tight ends? Because if you're not going to do it like 70% of the time, then why the heck are you drafting a guy 11th overall who's going to play that small of a percentage of your
George
snaps?
Kittle is now considered a slot receiver in some new definition of George Kittle, and you're putting him as your starting tight end. Here's the thing, Larry, I like that player. Who doesn't, right? I mean, if you don't like Tyler Warren, something is wrong with you.
Oh, he's great.
He
44
is not
for Penn State.
He's a luxury item that this team can't afford at this particular time. They need more basics before they get the 65-inch TV. First, they need a coffee table, a couch, and they need 4 walls to actually call this fucking thing a living room.
I mean, if you're going to trade George Kittle for a bevy of picks, then go for it. Yeah, then take Tyler Warren. But if you're going to keep George Kittle, and I think they are, then no, don't go Tyler Warren. And you can't go because you're not going to run that much 12 personnel.
I wanted tight ends. I wanted 2 tight ends too.
But I mean, what percentage of the time?
Kyle Juszczyk means that ain't the way they're playing football this year. So there you go.
Even if they are playing football that way, I mean, you're not going to go, show me the team that has a great tight end that then invested a first-round pick in another tight end and play them together.
How about the closest thing we have right now is hardly a team that you want to model your decisions after, but the Raiders. The Raiders had a really good tight end.
They had a second tight end, second round pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bowers is a great player for sure. But now here we are a year later and they're shopping Michael Mayer. So it's like they don't want 2 great tight ends. They wanted one and they just weren't sure which one it would be. So they took the higher rated guy and then he was awesome. And now they're trading the guy they took in the second round. So that's my point too. It's like, do I want Tyler Warren? Yeah. If you're going to trade George Kittle for a bevy of picks, then yeah, I want Tyler Warren. If not, no. Ben Diesel, I really like defensive end Jalen Walker, but I think a solid defensive tackle should be our first pick. Yeah, I would say defensive tackle probably makes the most sense. The only thing I'd say also is that defensive end is a thinner crop than defensive tackle.
That's kind of why I like James Pierce. Look, I agree with Kenneth Grant at 11. If the Niners do that, I would won't say a word. Great pick. Nice job. James Pierce Jr. at edge. I don't know. He's
an incredible pass rusher. There's no question about it. Harold McAllister, thoughts on Antoine Powell-Ryland, Vautech. Looks D-Fordish, but healthy. Yeah, I love this player. Antoine Powell-Ryland is one of my very favorite pass rushers in this draft. He's a Vautech Hokie. He's, a little on the shorter side, but he's explosive. He's very productive. And yes, that would be an outstanding round 3, 4, 5 pick.
3, 4, Larry, 4, fourth rounder, grab him. Sure.
4th round. Yeah. I mean, he may be gone in the late 3rd. He's really, really, really productive. And
again,
if you look at some of the measurables,
this is why I really want him to go O-line at 11, because there's so much defensive talent in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Yeah. But don't, go with greatness. Don't, this is where you get in trouble when you try to fill too many needs. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I just saw the thing the other day. The Niners like Colton McKivitz. They think he's the bee's knees. They're not looking for a starting right tackle. They're looking for a swing tackle. Well, yeah. Did they just lose Jalen Moore? Yeah. But I mean, looking for a swing tackle sounds like they're getting ready to fuck up. You know why? Why? Because Trent Williams is at the end. He's 37. You're going to need a new left tackle within 45 minutes. McKivitz probably would be better suited to shift to play Banks's left guard spot. You should be looking for a starting right tackle who you can plug and play and move McKivitz to guard. Instead, they're like, nope, McKivitz is great, and Trent's going to play for an eternity, and we're just looking for a swing tackle. So now it just reeks of, we're not going to take the best tackle. We're going to take some guy who's got, certain number of games at right tackle, a certain number of games at left tackle, moves a certain way, and blah, blah, blah.
Here's the thing. If you get that player because that's the pick in the 4th or 5th, okay. But I would be looking to address a need earlier than that at 11. And the thing is, McKivitz's price point, if he were to be beaten out by the rookie, you do move him to guard, or he becomes your swing tackle, and you then have hands down the best swing tackle in football, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways you could slice it. My point is, you need a start. Don't tell me you need a swing tackle. You need 2 tackles.
Right.
You need 2 offensive linemen that can start. Okay. If you want to say, the guy, oh, great, he can play the right side and the left side. That's great, but that's totally secondary.
Right.
That is secondary.
You don't need 2 cleanup hitters. Yeah, you do. You need 2 guys who can get that done. If you like your lineup with one of them, wait until you have 2 of them. Now you're the Dodgers. Congrats.
You need a foundation piece tackle. You don't need, some guy who's, you don't need Pat Venditti. He can throw with his right hand. He can throw with his left hand. Yeah, but you know what? He's not good. Let's get somebody who's good instead of getting Pat Venditti.
He's got a special glove that you can wear on either hand.
Yeah, no. Get somebody who's great. Draft great players. Great players. That's what you need to do. All right, that is going to do it for us. We're 91 minutes in to our
great
live
show.
stream.
Fun show today.
Let's thank our sponsors. I'm brought to you on my side by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. I'm also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. My friend Anthony Catania owns it. He's at 831-521-5264. And we have our month of March spring training trip sponsors, Claw Daddy Arcades. Great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location here in the Bay Area near you. And the show is sponsored by LearnKeys Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get your job ready in 6 months or less. So they handle upskill training in a number of fields: IT, cybersecurity, marketing. So they offer over 30 different certification programs to help you take your next step in your professional career. They've been in business for 37 years, over 200,000 students they've worked with. They place over 100 students every month in well-paying jobs. So LearnKey Upskill Academy, and all the links for all my sponsors are in the description below. And thanks to all of them for being wise enough to sponsor The Krug Show on YouTube. And Damon, sure, shout out anybody you'd like.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say every single day, you can't do better at lunch than going to Ike's. Get yourself a sandwich from Ike's, and if there isn't an Ike's around you, I hope there will be one around you soon. One of the fastest growing sandwich empires in the United States. Ike's. Get there, look at catering, download that Love Rewards program, earn your way towards free sandwiches, chips, and drinks, and all that good stuff. And if you're ordering for the office, think about Ike's Catering. Make the entire office function well with sandwiches that everybody likes. And if you need a tall, cold one and you're in West Portal, go to the Dublin or West Portal. You'll be happy that you did. Say hi to Kenny and John for me, and you'll be golden. That's the best Guinness in all of San Francisco. Go get one. Go get 2. Enjoy yourself. Watch a Warriors game there. Watch the draft there. Great place. Watch a little opening day, maybe at the Dubliner. Maybe I'll pop on in. What are the Giants opening in Cincinnati?
Giants open in Cincinnati. I was just looking at the odds. It's Logan Webb against Hunter Green, and the Giants. Let me see here. Actually, those opening day odds. Opening day odds are out right now, and the Giants on opening day are plus 105. They're plus 105 with Logan Webb. Hunter Green and the Reds are minus 115. Kind of like the Giants there. Get a little price on that.
Logan Webb is going to become the 4th Giants starter since World War II to make 4 consecutive opening day starts. So that's some pretty rarefied air for Logan Webb to be stepping into with a team with as great a pitching history as the Giants. He'll be joining Juan Marichal, Madison Bumgarner, and Tim Lincecum as the only guys getting 4 straight opening day starts for the Giants since World War II. So again, Logan Webb is having a hell of a career right in front of our eyes. I don't even think we appreciate it enough. Get that guy some run support.
We share the same financial guy.
Oh, yeah.
My financial guy's like, yeah, by the way, I also, I rep Logan Webb. And I'm like, oh, great.
Nice. I bet his spreadsheet is bigger than mine.
He gets a new sponsor and is making more, tip money. And he has more money coming in from his per diem unspent than I'm making probably all year. I said it's probably depressing doing my financial side compared to Logan's.
To be totally honest, Larry, you know a lot more about directions the Niners could be leaning in the 3rd round than Logan Webb ever will. So, that's what you got over him.
That is so true. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to the sponsors. Damon's going live in 15 minutes talking about Trey Lance. I'll be doing a couple videos later on today. Also, you catch me at 6:00 for Niners Nightly. Tonight, it's only a 30-minute Niners Nightly because the Giants are playing, I believe, the Tigers at Oracle Park tonight. So I believe that game's at Oracle Park. I saw it was Giants-Tigers in San Francisco. So that game's going to be on KMBR. So I'll be on from 6 to 6:30 tonight, a little shortened version of Niners Nightly. So join me tonight at 6.
So unlike the 49ers, you have a hurry-up offense. You'll be huddling quickly and just running a lot of plays in 30 minutes.
Exactly. Blood Moon says at the Krug Show, what do you wager that Brandon Aiyuk gets traded this week? Oh, it's going to happen. I would say 85% chance it happens.
Yeah, I was going to go about 75%. There's a 3 and 4 chance that it happens. And if not this week, next week. There's a very good chance this happens before the trade, before the draft. It's a very good chance.
Very good chance. Mark Graves says, trade for Spencer Torkelson, the pride of Santa Rosa, for the DH spot while he's still in town. I like that idea, Mark. Good to see you out in Peoria earlier this month. That's going to do it for us. Have a great day. Enjoy this fantastic spring weather. Baseball's here. The tourneys down at the Sweet 16. I've got 10 of the 16 remaining teams. My brother's kids both go to Gonzaga, so I'm sure he's in mourning. But, what can I say? My bracket has to rule the day, and I have Bama against Auburn in the final. So something had to give, and it had to be the Zags. So
like the first time Gonzaga's not in the Sweet 16 in like 8 straight years or something like that. They reached a lot of the Sweet 16s. So.
Man, Alabama is loaded though. Alabama is really good with Sears and all the length and the shooting, and they can score 100
right now.
Florida's a monster. Watch out for Bama though, and Auburn looks good too. All right, that does it for us. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you later today. Thanks again. Peace. And thanks for supporting. Wake up! Wake up!